Colleen Ballinger has spent years running from her past. What started out with harmless comedy videos has since become a pattern of inappropriate behavior towards children with a shocking amount of proof. Now, hearing that Colleen has developed a sinister reputation may surprise you. I mean, she is one of the few YouTubers to both find mainstream success offline and maintain a successful career in content creation for this long. But for others, this may sound vaguely familiar. And that's because this whole controversy started 3 years ago in 2020, where Colleen found herself absolutely bombarded with allegations. And looking back at her apology video, it almost seems harder to think of something that she wasn't accused of.
And in this video, we are doing characters that are Latina. And the characters are completely based on racial stereotypes. It's a video that I filmed 12 years ago where I talk about taking a flight and an overweight woman sat next to me and I talk really negatively about her, and it's awful. When I was 3 years old, I was bit by a dog. I needed to go to the hospital. The clip of me that is circulating from 7 years ago is me talking about this situation in a very insensitive way. When in reality, when our dog was put down, I was really upset.
Yeah, skeletons in your closet are one thing, but if you have that many, then maybe you're not the best person. I don't know. But one part of the video really stuck out, and that's the part that has been making the rounds again. Because socially insensitive content from a different time is incredibly common, but being accused of grooming children isn't. And this included several instances of Colleen demonstrating, to put it lightly, a serious lapse in judgment while interacting with her underage fans.
The biggest issue that came from his video is that I sent a child underwear, and wow, I knew better than to let someone else tweet for me. I definitely overshare, and I have definitely overshared with fans. To me, you aren't just my fans, you're my friends.
But at the time, the video received a lot of support towards Colleen for owning up to her actions. But looking back at that apology now, newer comments are pointing out that a fair few times, Colleen seems to either defend her actions in some way or try to garner sympathy from the viewer.
And then this boy who made this video about me recently, he asked for the underwear, and I shouldn't kill myself. Be careful with the words you choose to use, because I have learned time and time again that words definitely matter, and your words can hurt people and they can affect people in a very negative way.
Like, I don't know, saying you sent underwear to a teenager because the teenager asked you for it, or that you had a teenager act as an unsupervised, unpaid social media manager for a day because it was just a test run, or that oversharing is something you acknowledge wasn't appropriate. I mean, at a certain point, it's almost like there's a reason that teenagers have to have a guardian, because they tend not to have the best ideas, at which point an adult should step in and exercise some judgment. Just a thought. And while I'm all for letting content creators be human and mess up, when you are going out of your way to interact with children, you are going to be rightfully held to a much higher standard. And this was all brought to light by Adam McIntyre, a YouTuber who has essentially become the face of Colleen's former fans sharing their inappropriate experiences with her. Make a note of that. But okay, that's 2020. Who cares about all of that now, especially if her apology was received so well at the time? Well, more recently, multiple people have come forth to share their experiences with Colleen acting inappropriately. This started with Cody Rants, but then was blown up by the aforementioned Adam. And this has led to the internet resurfacing loads of less than stellar moments from Colleen's past.
And look what we just found.
We found Ada! Look,
really
there are paws.
They're paws. That really might be Ada.
No. That actually I think is Ada. I was just kidding,
tail?
but there's definitely paws. That's a paw. Ew, and that's a separated leg. And a fly. Ada.
Ada.
She's dead.
Ada's dead.
Ada's dead.
Oh. If you don't know what we're talking about, watch our vlog from day one.
I mean, quite frankly, Colleen is being called out from every possible angle, but let's take this one step at a time. What did Cody have to say about Colleen, and why now? Well, to use her own words,
why I believe her fandom is the most toxic fandom online, and why I think she's just as bad as Shane Dawson.
She starts out by describing how she became a part of, as she calls it, the Colleen Ballinger fandom. She then reflects on certain behaviors from her time in this community that she regrets. And over time, Cody's enthusiasm started to attract Colleen's attention. Attention that Cody says motivated her to make a video attacking Adam in response to his claims about Colleen back in 2020.
Now, I believe the reason that she DM'd me was so I would make this video. I would make a video that would defend her. And it worked. And that's sad. I was so excited when she messaged me.
Because that's a really important part of Adam's story. When he tried to share his experiences, he was faced with massive backlash, threats, and attacks from Colleen's community, and he says that it was largely because of Cody's video.
And there was a time period where I hated Cody because my entire story got silenced because of Cody's video.
Cody then goes on to show an alleged group chat that featured Colleen sending inappropriate messages to Adam and engaging in unhealthy parasocial conversations with children, such as ranting to them about her ex-husband. And all I can say is, wow. There are some super weird messages to be sending to a bunch of teenagers in this chat, and that's putting it lightly. I mean, some of the things that Colleen was comfortable saying as a roughly 30-year-old woman to a chat full of children are wild. For example, Adam says, "My ass looks so good today," to which Colleen responds, "Pics?" And yes, this is when he was a minor. In reference to Colleen's ex, he lied to everyone and said, "I cheated. When would I have time to cheat?" Now, trash talking your ex is already kinda lame once you pass the point of venting and getting support, but that is so much worse when you were doing that in a public forum to children who have no capacity to understand the complex layers of an adult relationship. Yeah, it's a good thing she didn't do that all of the time. "Hi, everyone hates me. Why are you bringing your angst to fans, to teenagers no less? It's kind of weird to go up to a bunch of kids and go, 'Hey, make me feel good about myself, please.'" There's also a moment where the chat was making fun of her ex-husband, and Colleen's next message is bragging about her new partner, not even trying to discourage the inappropriate jokes about her ex. She also asked her fans for advice on her sex life, which they would respond to and answer. Once again, these are all messages that Colleen was comfortable sending to a group chat filled with children. And the idea that she was so comfortable having these conversations publicly is just so hard to wrap my head around. And that's kind of a recurring trend with this, where Colleen is very comfortable doing things in the open that most people wouldn't be. You'll see what I mean in a bit. Later, Cody Rants shows DMs from one of Colleen's best friends, Corey DeSoto.
This is him talking about Adam, okay? This is a grown man in my DM sending me stuff on a child.
And this is far from the only claim that the people Colleen connects to her fans end up having pretty inappropriate interactions with them. You'll see what I mean in a bit. And Cody Rants ultimately draws the conclusion that Colleen and Corey DeSoto were DMing her in order to manipulate her into speaking out against Adam, which she eventually did.
You can't tell me that this wasn't strategy. They were trying to get me to make the video so they could see the backlash that I would get with talking badly about Adam.
But on June 9th, Cody Rants suddenly vanished from the internet. All of the content from their YouTube channel, as well as their Twitter, were suddenly deleted, which begs the question of why? Well, it's impossible to answer that without discussing Adam. Adam McIntyre has been making content for years now on all kinds of influencer drama, and this has included quite a few videos aimed at Colleen, whether it's sharing his own experiences or critiquing her actions as a content creator. But the trouble for Colleen started on June 4th, where Adam made an 80-minute video titled "I Was Right About Colleen Ballinger," where he introduces Cody's video to hundreds of thousands of people while adding his own commentary. Right away, he starts off by calling Colleen out for running what he refers to as a smear campaign against him, which Cody had at one point aided in.
It's now been confirmed that she was on a smear campaign of me, and like my idol in every sense of the word was like actively trying to take me down.
He goes on to respond to Cody's video while suggesting that the new proof of Colleen's behavior implies that some of what she denies took place back in 2020 actually did.
And she asked me what my favorite position is. Now, if that doesn't validate any of the stories that she would be talking openly about her sex with her ex-husband to me, then I don't know what will.
He also shows vindication at Cody's reveal that Colleen had vented about him in DMs.
She's saying here that she's respecting my family's wishes and respecting me because I'm a child and not talking about me or not making a video about me. And here she is manically messaging people to get them to do it instead of her. She just messaged someone saying that out of respect for him being a child, I'm not going to respond to him. And she goes on to send my entire message history with her to someone to get them to leak it. She sends my entire conversation history, which I didn't even do in my video. This 30-year-old woman sends her entire conversation history with a 16, 17-year-old as a way to one-up me. But I'm the one coming for her? This
extended to disgust at Corey for doing the same.
Congratulations, at that time, Corey, you were making fun of a 15-year-old. Good job. What's your logic? You're on record now showing that you were making fun of a 15-year-old. You creepy 30-year-old man.
He then has Cody call in to discuss her experiences and opinions on why Colleen has gotten away with her behavior for so long.
She used you and me so she could prop herself up. And she's a disgusting, evil person, and so is Corey. She's just as bad as people like Shane Dawson. But I think people don't talk about it because she's a woman.
And throughout the video, Adam echoes the sentiment that Cody's video was incredibly validating for him, because someone else was finally sharing a similar experience while acknowledging it was unhealthy.
Wow, like, it almost, like, we're validated. And it's like, your video has genuinely, in 3 years, been the first thing that has made me feel not good, because it's not the word, but like, fine.
And overall, Adam's video received a ton of support and praise, which resulted in him releasing multiple follow-up videos detailing his experiences. And it would be impossible to really unpack the hours of content he's produced on this without removing his place in telling his own story, though Adam has since said that he took issue with the intention of Cody's actions surrounding this controversy, particularly that he feels it was self-serving and violated his privacy in several ways.
They basically confirmed that the reason that they made the video was because they were angry that Corey DeSoto, Colleen's friend, blocked them on Twitter, and that this is their story, and basically confirmed the fact that they didn't actually care about me knowing the truth because they held this information for 3 years that would have made people stop harassing me. And that Cody brought to the forefront things that I never, ever wanted to be out there. The DMs where Colleen was being inappropriate with me, or the extent of how inappropriate the weenies things were.
But I think the big takeaway with Adam is that he has made a pretty compelling case for Colleen having wildly inappropriate conversations with teenage fans. Whether it's Colleen's use of innuendo or using these teens as an emotional crutch, her talking to and treating teenage strangers like familiar adults is a really bad look. But while Adam is the face of those sharing their experiences with Colleen, he's far from the only one, because the floodgates have been absolutely opened against her. And while it's easy to look at people coming out and sharing their private experiences and raising an eyebrow, that's not all that's been coming out, to the point that there are multiple Twitter threads and an entire subreddit dedicated to bringing more and more of this behavior to light. In fact, a huge chunk of this has included resurfaced clips from Colleen's stage shows, things that happened in public. See, Colleen is best known for her character Miranda Sings, a character with a lack of self-awareness compensated for with an abundance of unearned confidence. This results in her often saying wildly inappropriate things for comedic effect.
You are not supposed to dress when you are dancing, and I can see your entire legs. Stop it!
Now, I'm not going to do the thing where I take scripted content from years ago and act like those are non-fiction statements that speak to one's character, because I don't really find that compelling, but it is worth noting that a ton of clips have come out of Colleen using innuendo towards children and making essay jokes about them in her YouTube videos. Not going into it, but it is important to note, because what I find way more interesting are the aforementioned clips of her in public, her on stage, and her with her young fans. Her shows often included various segments that involved inviting her child fans on stage and making fun of them as Miranda. This included saying that they were dressed in a way that is too revealing, physically touching them in questionable ways, posing them in questionable positions, and having them act out questionable scenarios. And right away, having multiple segments that rely on hundreds of people laughing at the expense of a child to their face isn't the best concept. But when you actually look at these clips and get into specifics, it is wild what she felt comfortable doing in such a public setting to children.
Was this in my self-help book?
Was it? Because I brought self-help with me and I was just wondering.
Well, shouldn't you know if you've read it? I'm just kidding, James. I'm just kidding. I love you. I'm just kidding. Do you want a cheese ball?
I'd love one. I can't believe I'm reaching in there right now.
So right there, you have her making fun of the kid, which causes him to almost leave, and then she invites him to reach into her pants. Not a great look. And while people jump to the defense of, he's one of her fans, he wanted to go on stage, I would say that argument is incredibly weak. What child wouldn't jump at the opportunity to get up close with their idol? She is the adult in these interactions, so it is on her to make them as positive as she can for these children. Which brings me to my next example.
Hi, okay, my name is Becky. I'm the girl in this video, and I think in this video I was about 16. Colleen frequently has segments where she calls people up on stage. Now, as soon as I stood up from the audience, I saw Colleen's eyes widen because she realized I was not wearing pants. But for some reason, that didn't stop her from continuing. In fact, no adult at any point stepped in this situation. So we get to the point in the yoga challenge where I am laying down and Colleen is spreading my legs basically as far as she can. She spreads them so far that you can see the spandex I was wearing under my romper, which thank God I was wearing. That is the moment I will never forget, where I was laying under Colleen and she was smirking down at me while thousands of people were laughing, and I was terrified that my body wasn't covered up enough by the spandex or the romper. I basically felt naked, so it felt incredibly sexually violating. I was younger and my body was still developing and I was still becoming comfortable with myself, so for her to use my body as entertainment on stage really set my confidence back quite a lot. And not to mention, after all this, after the show, I had to walk back to my car where there was many men staring at me in a very predatory way that they were not looking at me before because of how exposed I had been on stage. So I literally did not feel safe leaving the venue. As someone who has been sexually assaulted, this situation gave me that same feeling where it feels like you need to purge and like clean out your insides, you know, just that nasty, gross feeling. But this is who she really is. She uses kids for her own gain. I was a minor, and again, she did not protect me.
Before even talking about the experience this fan described, spreading the legs of a child while she is in loose-fitting shorts on stage is so wildly inappropriate. Like, it is a bad look to surprise children publicly with inappropriate physical contact for entertainment. Like, that's not normal. Even in the best of circumstances, that child is going to feel pressured to go along with whatever you tell them to do because you are doing everything possible to put them in a compromised position. Not to mention, it's a position where their guardian is not present, so there is no one to advocate for them. And the fact that the fan describes feeling so uncomfortable and unsafe just walking back to her car, it implies that Colleen isn't worried about the aftermath of these interactions, as long as she gets her laughs. And what makes all of this even worse is a resurfaced clip of her saying that she often uses Miranda to insult people with deniability.
Do you ever mean what she's saying?
Yes, all the time. There's a lot of times where in character I'll say something so cruel or, you know, something I'm thinking but I would never actually say as myself, and it's very liberating.
When you consider some of the things that come out of Miranda's mouth, it's hard to imagine why she would admit that to millions. And that's all just in the broad category of public fan interactions. There have also been multiple threads on Reddit of people sharing similar experiences with not only Colleen, but those around her. For example, DMs were released of her brother Trent allegedly saying to a child things like, "Don't show our conversation to anyone," and "I'm told not to talk to people under 18, to which the child ended up comforting him that it was okay. There's also Trent guilting a child for not giving him enough attention and trying to convince that child that they are straight and not bisexual. And that is barely scratching the surface of these DMs from Trent. And Colleen's friend Corey from before, Adam released a pretty weird voice memo that Corey sent to a group chat of fans in response to accusations against him.
Hey everyone, it's Corey. I love all of you. Like, you all honestly mean so much to me.
Oh my god.
You have no idea. I know that it sounds weird because I'm a full-grown adult and some of you are younger. Like, I honestly think of all of you like as my best friends. Like, I don't have friends.
Oh
and
god.
I'm a loner and I'm a loser. Like, my only friend is Colleen. It's so comforting to like go online and talk to you guys and feel like loved and cared about, because I love and care about all of you and I trust you. And
that was a lot to put on literal children to deal with. And Corey has even deleted his Twitter seemingly in response to all of this controversy. And that still doesn't even touch upon the dozens of resurfaced clips, tweets, and jokes from Colleen herself. Because this whole mess gets even deeper once you look at the content Colleen has actually put out online. For example, here's a thumbnail that was used for a Miranda Sings video. That's not exactly the best look for a video where you're trying to appeal to primarily children, right? And none of this even touches on the fact that Colleen is a mommy vlogger, meaning she directly profits from showing her children to millions of people, and that too isn't great. Like, individually, most of this stuff isn't necessarily enough to really make an argument that Colleen's influence is concerning, but put together, it really is. At bare minimum, there's a serious argument to be made that a considerable part of Colleen's brand relies on making children uncomfortable for content. Like, she is the adult in these interactions, not to mention the celebrity. For so many people to grow up and look back at their interactions with her negatively, it is fully on Colleen, and she should have known better. And what makes all of this even worse is, well, Colleen. Colleen has said multiple times in the past that her controversy stemmed from haters trying to take her down. And while she hasn't responded to the recent wave of controversy yet, she has been on tour in a show that is about being canceled and how that's funny, and is apparently selling merch to that effect. Just add it to the pile next to her new podcast with Trisha Paytas, someone who has a history of trying to absolutely ruin lives and exploit marginalized communities to profit. Again, not a great look. And while I don't like applying labels to people from an outside perspective because how slippery that is, it is more than fair to say that Colleen simply has crossed multiple lines with her fans, with children. Like, she seems to not comprehend the impact that she can have on a child that looks up to her and how vulnerable they are to both her and those around her. I mean, if nothing else, maybe Colleen should just stay in her lane. I mean, getting caught having inappropriate conversations with your teenage fans, which result in you getting accused of grooming, how about we leave that to the Minecraft YouTubers, yeah? Bye!